Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Back in the Corner podcast. Today we're doing it a bit different. I'm going to be hosting today's episode. We're going to be speaking about family and community. So I've got a few questions lined up for us and we're just going to do what we do best. Okay, so guys, obviously family and community, it's a big part of our lives. And before we go into what family and community is, I've got a great question. Um, when you hear the word family, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
People I love unconditionally. People that no matter what, I will always have a place for them in my heart.
Yeah.
Which is a bit vague, but sorry. It's like people that, I wouldn't even say people that I necessarily rely on, but people that if in any circumstance they came to me asking for help or asking for something, immediately I would help them, immediately I would give it to them.
So it's bigger than just blood.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot broader, yeah.
Okay, which that actually follows us into the next question, and I think it relates more than just is family blood, because I think it's a big thing in so many people's lives. They're like, this person's in my family, they're family, but they're not related. But besides relation and on relation, the question is, do you think family is something you're born into or something you build?
I can say both. Meaning that obviously you were born in a family. Like you're born into a family. Your mother gave birth to you. Your father, was there to nurture you as well as your mom, obviously. And then the family that you build are the people that you get to meet along the way. The people that add value to your life
Yeah.
and fill your cup and just make you feel like you're seen, you heard. Yep. And they just make life easier, man, because you can get to talk to them. I think those are the two, definitions I can give: family that you're born into and family that you get to build. Yeah.
Like, for what I would say is that it stems out in relationship. Like, you can't have a relationship unless you build a relationship.
Yeah.
So sure, you might have a cousin, but if you don't have a relationship,
with them,
it's
yeah.
like, how have you built something if there's no relationship, So when I think of like relationships, it's easy to think of, your immediate partners, friends, even family. But sometimes we forget that our family is a relationship, and in those relationships in your family, I think it roots deeper than just something that you've built on. It's almost something that you're connected to.
Yeah.
And like the values and qualities that we get from being connected in a family are sometimes the greatest things that allow us to build in relationships that are outside of our family. So I don't know.
I think because a lot of like who we are and our personalities and our like character traits are built on the family that we have.
Yeah.
And not even just like direct maternal like family, like people we spend the most time with, like childhood friends. Like I would consider them family because a lot of their like characteristics and traits I see in myself today. So I think a lot of a lot of who you become as a person is based on the people that you build with, those like many aspects, many bricks, let's say, of your life.
Yeah. I think family is, at least for me, family is people you choose, but people who also choose you. I know I know a lot of the older generation would say family is only blood. But in my personal life, I've gotten to experience that although family is blood, family is also the people that I love and the people that love me.
Yeah.
The people that I've got to meet along the way, just like what Leah said. So family can be both
Yeah.
blood and the community or the people you choose to be in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I thought of it now. I think obviously for the viewers sitting at home or wherever they are watching this, obviously we've got our own little family, and I think it's quite beautiful. But I thought just going around and sharing what our immediate family looks like between each of us.
Yeah.
Not specifics, details, but just an outlook, just to give the people you guys watching at home, an understanding that we aren't sitting in the same scenario. So our morals and views and things that come from family are all different. Yet we can still sit here as a family and talk about this. So I think we can start off with Leah and go down the line. Just simple, you know,
Oh
the
man.
members. You don't need to say names.
Yeah.
You know.
No, like the question in my head, the way I interpret it is like, you know, my immediate family is everything to me. You know, my mom, my dad, my sisters, my brothers. I don't live with my brothers, you know, but then like when I see them, it's like a very good time, man. You know, we get to catch up on a lot of things, and I'm so grateful for them. And obviously, one of my brothers I only met like 5 years ago, but he's been in my life all my life, you know. But I never knew he was my brother. You get me? And my dad, I have to give a shout out to my dad, man. My dad, is just my superhero. You know, that's my Superman, man. Like he just made life so easy. You know, he's a very intelligent man. He's very emotionally intelligent. I can give him that. The conversations that we have are just out of this world. You know, and over the years, obviously, as I got older, I got to experience him differently than I was when I was a younger boy. You know, and as of recent, you know, it's been just something that we try to do more, is to just spend more time together, whether that be going to watch a soccer game together, watching a movie. And then with my sisters, I've always been close with my sisters. You know, obviously bickering is like a sibling thing, but it's like I appreciate them now more than ever because they do so much for me.
Yeah.
And I never used to see that. And I always say that, you know, you must always surround yourself with people that never count what you do for them or what they do for you in your presence and when they're in your absence as well.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really good, yeah.
Yeah. So I just think that my family just played a pivotal role in my life, man, in the way I see the world, the lessons, the values. Yeah. I think it's been a very amazing upbringing, to just sum it up.
I think I grew up in a mainly female upbringing, like mainly females. Even though I love my uncles and I cherish
The
them.
sisterhood.
The sisterhood, basically. I love my uncles and I cherish them very dearly. But it's mainly been me, my mom, and my two sisters as I was growing up. My mom basically raised us as a single mom for most of my life. And then obviously my really awesome stepdad, when he came along, that was like awesome. But for the most part, I really value my childhood as my mom was a single mother raising us. And I grew up with my cousins because my grandma basically raised all of us together. I don't know if that makes sense, but you talk to my mom and you guys figure it out. I was raised with my cousins, so I see them as my siblings. Or when I do something, I always I'm considering them kind of.
Yeah.
And yeah, so also all my cousins are female. We have 2 boy cousins in our whole family. So you can just imagine family dinners and family parties. It's a girly affair. But yeah, I grew up with my cousins and like my aunt because funny enough, I won't obviously say where I live, but all of us live in like an L shape. So we all live right next to each other. And even when we had lived somewhere else, my family also lived close to us.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it feels like to grow up without my family, if that makes sense. Even when I'm like gone for a week, I'm like, oh, I miss my auntie. I need to say hi. So that's how I grew up, and that's actually still currently my dynamic.
Your family is your local community also.
Literally.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Literally. Yeah.
For myself, it's just so I have a younger brother, and then I have a mom, then I have a dad.
Wait,
It's just the 4 of us.
quickly. Before that, younger brother is sometimes behind the scenes, guys. So we gotta shout out to him.
Shout out to you.
Shout out
Shout out to you.
Yeah, I have a younger brother and my parents, so that would be my immediate family, and then just a bit of extension. I'm not really close to my other family in terms of my cousins, my aunts, but I care about them and we're still family. I grew up, part of my life I grew up with my parents, actually most of my life I grew up with my parents. Then part of my life I grew up with my granny. So she also just played a big part of my life and who I am.
Shout out
So she
grannies,
raised me. Yeah, bro. Shout out the
Grannies, bro. Yo.
Grannies have it a lot. But yeah, so it's myself, my younger brother, my mom, and my dad.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Me personally, I grew up in quite a biggish family, in a sense that it was almost like every Sunday was like a gathering. And it was on both sides of the family also. So sometimes it was like Saturday we're at this one, Sunday we're at this one, lunch, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was like early stage of my childhood. So I was a single child for most of that part of my life. And then through a move, we moved down, and then it became more intimate. I started to realize how blessed I was in the time I spent with uncles and aunts and the grannies and opas and cousins, and just like being around family so much, and then moving into a space where it's just your immediate family. I think it's two different aspects, but it's really cool to see how much that immediate family plays such a role in who you are and your not essentially extended, but your larger family almost adds to who you are. It's like family and community, because sometimes, unfortunately, I know there's a lot of people that don't have extended family, and it's just a close family, and they're still thriving people and amazing people, but that extended family adds so much to who you are as much as you add to them. And obviously we spoke about how Nebs is her family is basically a local community. They're all living together. They're all surrounded by each other, probably in each other's spaces too much. But
just imagine
moving to your community that you surround yourself in as family is something that I think for most people will always be in your life. Obviously, family is how you came into this world and how you grow in this world. And I think that your community is where you find yourself in your different stages of life. And more than just your family, what do you think makes us feel like we belong somewhere?
oh my gosh.
I think we can start with Caleb.
So what makes myself feel like I belong somewhere?
Yeah, in a community standpoint. Obviously you started studying this year.
Yeah.
For example, what makes you feel like you belong there?
On campus. What makes me feel like I belong on campus?
Yeah.
I think it's the people that I'm in relationship with.
Yeah.
So my friends and the people I talk to, the people who I spend time with, because I want to, but also the people who want to spend time with me. So that makes me feel like I do belong. That's then when I get to know that we share similar interests, we share similar passions.
Yeah.
Our relationship with Christ is also thriving. So how I don't know how to answer the question, because it's as simple as my friends. It's as simple as the people that I spend time with that make me feel like I belong.
The right people.
The right people.
The right
and
people.
It's not everyone that I share my time with. It's not everyone that I speak to.
Yeah.
That I consider my friend, or that I consider people who make me feel like I belong.
And do you think that belonging from the right people? Just a question for you. Obviously extending on this, I just thought of this now. Do you think that belonging that you feel from the people is because of the people you found, or because of the acceptance that came from knowing that you found somebody similar towards what you're living for?
So I try to be as authentic as I can. I try to be myself as much as I can. So myself being myself, and them also accepting who I am for who I am. I feel like
Yeah.
that's what brings it all together. I don't know if it's because I don't know if I don't know if it's because I feel belonging because I found the people that I found.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I think it's just myself being myself and them accepting who I am for me, but also me accepting who they are
Yeah.
and what role and part they play in my life. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's
No, it does. It gives us a good sum. It's like the people that make you feel like you belong. I think that authenticity is a good thing. It's like when you're surrounded by authentic people, it's easy to create a community rather than being surrounded by people who aren't authentic, that are all trying to be something that they're not.
just to fit into the
Just to fit into a community that hasn't even been made yet, you know. But let's circle back there. Let's circle back. And extending the question, your belonging. It doesn't even need to be the people. It could even be just the space you're in. Because, I mean, sometimes, especially with work, in a work environment, sometimes the people are going to be the worst part of it. But sometimes you do feel like you belong somewhere.
Yeah.
But sometimes the people are going to be the best part of it, and the spaces are going to feel like you don't belong there. So, what does that look like in terms of belonging in a space?
Gosh. Can I be honest? I don't actually really know. But in a working environment, I think most of the part that makes you feel like you belong is because you are meant to be in that sector. For
Yeah.
example, I studied HR, so I'm meant to be in the HR field. But I think most of it is also just like acceptance. People accepting you for the way you are. Like, this is Nebraska. This is how Nebraska operates. This is how Nebraska does her job. This is how Nebraska will always do her job. And I think that plays a big part in belonging in an environment, especially in a professional environment. It's very different from a social or family or whatever else environment. It's very different. But I think that you do get to a point where it's less like a stranger and more like a friendly face.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, I know that there are people at work that when I see them, I'm like, oh my gosh, so good to see you. And then I also know that there are probably people that when they see me, they're like, oh no, HR's in the building. We're in trouble. You know, so
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it is like just like acceptance, like of who you are, because again, in a professional environment, people accept that yes, she works in HR. She is an HR function. But they also can also know that I am Nebraska.
Yeah.
And I like the color pink. And all my stationery at work is pink. You know?
Yeah.
So I think a big part of it is just like acceptance.
Yeah. I just like heard something in my mind from what you said. And just to put into simple terms, like I think belonging in community starts with your own acceptance of who you are.
100%.
You can't place your own pillar in a community if you aren't your own.
Yeah.
And like that understanding that community is based off singular people, I think many people sometimes overlook that in terms of the fact that, you know, you've got your leaders, you've got your helpers, you've got your people that stand out, you've got your people that do behind the scenes in all walks of life, not just certain environments. I mean, you look at things that happen on a day-to-day. You see the police on the streets, you know, but you don't see the people in the office getting the calls, receiving the calls, dispatching and all of that. Just a simple example, but it's like accepting you're your own in community. How do you accept, I'm asking you, Leah, how do you accept who you are in a space filled with so many different identities?
Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's really hard, bro. I think just to circle back on the question of belonging and community. I think for me personally, feeling of belonging stems from my grandmother. You know, I grew up in a small town,
Yeah.
Vista, you know, and the people there, they all know each other, man. You know, and I grew up there on holidays. I used to go back, you know, and then I'd get people coming into our home and like, who's this person? My grandmas are from 19, what, you know? And it's like they would have hours of conversations
Yeah.
and just people just pass by our home every day and just new people or the same people. And it's like, you get to realize how important you are in people's lives through how much they check in on you also, you know. So belonging for me felt like, yo, I grew up in a family of females.
Yeah.
I'm my grandmother's first grandson. So it's like from her daughters.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, they're actually the only one. So it's like I needed to find myself within the space of being around females a lot because I never really had a close relationship with my dad's side of the family.
I get you because
So
it's the same for me. All my cousins
yeah,
are female from my mom's side.
yeah.
It's crazy that
So-
you say speaking that now.
So
Like,
it's like
yeah.
I only got to know my dad's side of the family, which is more male dominated.
Yeah.
You know, in my teens, you know. So it's like I really needed to find myself within the space of always being around females and just embracing myself and always, you know, obviously bickering was a big thing because it's like we had differences. I like to play a bit rough more than the girls and stuff like that, and my grandmother would take my side and all
Yeah.
those things. And then in terms of friendships, you know, belonging is a feeling of like knowing that you can count on someone.
Yeah.
Where you sit down with the person and you don't feel like this person in their mind they're judging you. You know, or like they might tell somebody else about what you tell them.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's a definition that I have in mind for embracing, you know, the feeling of belonging
Yeah.
in the group, and also trying not to fit in within the group that you feel like you're part of. You know, because that can be very dangerous.
No, of course,
you know?
yeah.
In the sense of, you know, you always need to prove yourself. I feel like you need to
Yeah.
prove yourself, and you just, you know, constantly trying to catch up with people that are no longer, you know, in your immediate vicinity.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's like, yeah, man, just really living your true identity out is like being okay with not always being around the people that you love.
No, of course, yeah. Obviously, in the last episode, sorry, we spoke about social media in some aspects. I think we all touched on real community also in a few points that we brought up also, but social media especially, like you're speaking now about groups and how different groups can situate where your mind is at. Like, we've all got different friends at the same time, you know, we've got friends that might be in different groups also. And with that on social media, a lot of that you see on social media, like when you're hanging with a different group of friends than usual, or if, you know, your friend that normally you hang out with is hanging out with a different group, you know, it's like it can almost be like, oh, what's happening? But something that stemmed out of that, especially because of social media, is how much less do people rely on community because of social media? Because of they see the way their friends living. Oh, I know this person because they've seen parts of their life that they've documented. How much less?
Yeah.
Can
I just? That's actually something I've been thinking about. You know, how people do perceive you on social media.
Yeah.
So, like you said, we all have friends outside of this friendship.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like people get to experience me differently outside of this, and the people that I hang out outside of our friend group get to experience me differently from how you guys experience me.
Yeah.
One thing I just realized as of late is like, I love music, firstly, right? I love music so much with my whole heart because I grew up with music. My dad always, you know, used to listen to the best jazz in the whole country, in my opinion, you know. So it's like music has always been a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so unfortunate that the music that I do listen to sometimes is like in the wrong spaces.
Yeah.
So now I do find myself, I found myself previously in a space where I was like, I was not fully like comfortable to be there, but I was there because of the people that are playing at that certain event. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then when you post about it, right? Now I'm posting like I'm at an event, people around me are consuming alcohol, but I don't consume alcohol.
Yeah.
I put it on my Instagram, it's like, oh, this guy's also one of those guys. You know, and then when I'm with you guys, it's like I get to be more free because I do listen to that music, but it's like I'm in a different environment now. So it's all about how your environment paints you to
Yeah.
other people. And then obviously, if you're not part of my community, you won't know that I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm there because I appreciate the music
Yeah.
that people are playing at the event or playing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like if you're not in my community, then I don't think you should have an opinion on me.
Yeah, because I think relationships, like we spoke about, are formed when you build them. And I think people forget that building relationship actually begins with conversation. And more so face to face, because it's statistically proven that 10% of true conversation is conveyed through text. The other 90% you can't see. You can't see facial expressions, emotions, body movement, tone. You can't see that on a text. Like, I could be like, yo, Leah, I'm so excited to see you tomorrow. But I'm sitting at home, I'm like,
Oh, yeah, I'm so excited to see you
you see,
tomorrow.
and I think that's a big thing, is that some people, or even people in general, I think I've even found myself doing it once or twice before, was you, in your mind, because of the information you've received about someone, you think that you can build a relationship with them because of what you know from social media. You think like you can go and interact with them now and like, oh, but you really don't know who this person is. You actually only really know what they've done.
Yeah.
So I think social media, it really plays to a part where it's like you can see so much of what's happening in a community, but you're actually really not involved in that community at all.
100%. And I've actually experienced it like a handful of times with people that maybe follow me on Instagram. Obviously, I'm not an influencer, and let me not claim that right now. But people that follow me on Instagram, and then they will see me in like person, and they'll come be like, "Oh my gosh, Nebraska, it's so good to see you." Not introduce themselves, never spoke to them before. And I'm always like, "Oh, so nice to meet you. You are?" And they're like, "Oh, don't you know me from Instagram?" I'm like, "No, I don't know you from Instagram. Like, I follow you.
It's a profile.
It's a profile. I see all the great stuff about your life, and that's awesome. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know you. Because if I was following Caleb and I wasn't Caleb's friend, I'd be like, yo, is this guy like an athlete? Like, this guy's a high rocks athlete. Like, damn, he's really been running. But like in real life, Caleb just enjoys training. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's not a high rocks athlete. I hate it. This is the same moment as Leah owning a Lamborghini. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Caleb's not a high rocks athlete yet. Okay. Yet. But I think that people are so comfortable with having a phone relationship that they don't even care about the personal relationship. Because I also have people that follow me on Instagram, won't talk to me if I see them. Fine, it's okay.
Yeah.
But then comment on my Instagram, oh my gosh, girl, slay, OMG, girl, I'm so proud of you. People are too comfortable with having a friendship or relationship over the phone, and that scares me.
I think it's a hard thing to say, but it's easy to live a life behind the screen.
No accountability.
And not even that, less so, it's like watching a movie, you get to see everything that you want to see. You get to zoom in on the pictures and all of that. But you're never going to be there. And then when you face a situation like that in real life, it's like, oh, but what do I do now? What do I do now? Like, I say Caleb's training for high rocks. I'm like, oh, I'm going to join him in the comments. Nah, bro, doing fire. Join you next time. And next time I'm like,
next time,
how do I do push-ups? but it's silly things like that. And I think what's so awesome about the community we face on a day to day is, yes, we post on social media. I know Leah. Well, you guys more than me actually. I'm very bad at it. The stuff on my feed is all because of these guys from being so real.
Real.
But the things that are posted are not things that we define ourselves by. It's things that we just take passion in.
Find cool.
You know, find cool.
Yeah.
Oh, young aesthetic. You know, let me take a picture of this.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool because when you get into moments like that, you circle back and you think about those moments where you're like, oh, that was cool when I was with my community, you know. You see a picture, but you don't know who is behind the camera. You see a picture, but you don't know who else was in that moment. Because you see a picture of Caleb running. You don't know if Nibs is there cheering him on. You don't know if Leah was taking the video. You don't know if I was at home liking the picture. No, I'm kidding. Okay. But still, you don't know what actually goes into a small moment that you define somebody by. And it's still the question, like, what's a moment where you actually just felt proud of your community? Because when I think of Caleb, like, running in that, I know that he's aspiring to be better in his fitness journey, grow stronger, grow faster, get better, be more consistent. And when I see those moments, I feel proud because I also know who's in those moments with him. And I think that's an inner circle thing. But what is a moment where you felt proud of your community? And it doesn't have to be social media. It can be in any walk of life. I think we'll start with you because I mentioned you now.
We celebrate each other.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I'm proud of on an individual basis for everyone. Because I know Nebs celebrated her anniversary.
1 year.
Work
Work anniversary. Work anniversary, please.
Work anniversary.
So Leah's gonna own a Lamborghini. Caleb is doing
gonna be a
high
Hyros
rocks,
athlete.
and Nebs is getting married. How?
Oh my gosh, you're all invited.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm proud of is how we don't forget to celebrate each other.
Yeah.
In the wins, but also in some of those moments where we don't feel the best. We still cheer each other on. But also one thing that I'm proud of is that for all of us in our individual lives, we're all growing.
Yeah.
Although the year just started, although the first quarter is about to finish, we started really strong, but we're also just growing in our spiritual life, physical life, academic wise, work life. So that's one thing that I'd say I'm proud of. And I'm just proud just to call you guys my friends. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, gosh. Let me not cry. But can I mention 3 specific moments, please?
You can.
Can
Yeah,
I?
it's an open question.
Okay, thank you. Because like it just came to my mind where you felt like, what's one for like that you feel proud of your community? And the same thing that Caleb said is like to be celebrated. Like I'm very happy for my friends always. Because I can't explain it, but I love my community very much that I have right now. That I cherish it very dear to my heart. So everything is very special to me. The first moment I'm going to mention is New Year's Eve, where you prayed for summer camp. I don't know if you, recall that moment. You were on platform. I didn't even know you were going on, and I was standing next to Emma, and I'm like, okay, Keegs is standing over there. Why does Keegs have a mic? And then you still threw your phone at me because I asked for your phone. Literally, Emma's taking the video. I'm like sobbing. I'm like, oh my gosh, Keegs! Like, oh my gosh, go Keegs! Like, this is so beautiful because I know how passionate you are about young people. So for me, that was like, OMG, Keegs, like, look at you. And when you were going to Canberra, like, that was also so cool for me. And when you came back as well. And then the second moment that, like, really stands out to me was when I had my 1-year work anniversary.
Whoa.
And I also ran my personal best for, I think, a 5K. I think we did a 5K. Was it a 5K? Yes. And then, obviously, Leah so graciously bought me a slice of milk tart to celebrate my 1-year work anniversary. And I don't know, that moment was very special to me because for me, it's a very small win. Like, it's not anything very significant. For someone else, it'll just be like, oh, great,
Yeah.
let's move on. But my friends really like made me feel celebrated because my mom, love you, mommy. My mom didn't even. She was just like, oh, okay, 6 months left. I was like, oh,
Sorry
sure,
to
sure,
interrupt you now, but I just love that about us. And I've even been inspired through us to try and take into every walk of my life. Sometimes it's hard because sometimes, you know, people get confused. They're like, you know, but even the small things, you know, just like even purchases we make, like to know
Yeah.
that a purchase, you're like, oh, well done, you know, or like, you know, a small step like running a PB in a 5K, or even just running a 5K, you know,
just the 5K in general.
I don't know what it is, but we've got such a love that stems out of that celebration. Like it's not a celebration because it's like Marty scored the winning try or something, you know. It's not hype. I think it's festered on love.
Yes, 100%.
And I'm really like proud of that because, you know, especially in the way that we all found each other, and the way that our relationships are actually rooted in Christ specifically, and that it's built on the foundation of love. I love that the celebration points are not a point of hype or, you know, boosting each other up, but it's a point of like, hey, I love that you did that, and I love you, and I just want to celebrate you for that.
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt you. You
No,
can go to the next point, but I just thought like, that's just the beauty of it. Yeah.
And just to maybe just say, like, our friendship is definitely not perfect. I think our relationship, our community is not perfect. We bicker like siblings, okay? But it is such a beautiful, like, tiny, intimate community. Another part that really stands with me, where I was really, really proud. I hate to bring it up again, but I just started ballet again, okay?
Come on.
And when I told my friends, you guys,
Carry on.
to the side.
Carry on. That's more of Nibs' community.
Sorry, I thought I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. My bad, everybody. Okay. I started ballet again, and when I told my community, you guys were like, oh my word, that's so awesome. And I think I still asked, would you guys come with me? And Keegan was like, I don't think I'll dance, but I'll watch. Yes. And then when I actually went to my first class, because I had quite a hassle getting into a school again, it was, but thank you guys for volunteering to bomb the other schools that didn't accept me.
Figuratively.
Figuratively.
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Luckily, those messages are gone. Yeah. But and then on the day,
yeah,
let's not talk about that. Then on the day after my first class, because I think I told Caleb, and I was like, I told both of you, and I was like, guys, today's my first class. Like, I'm so nervous. Blah blah blah. And then as I'm walking out my dance class, because I was like, oh my gosh, like my friends are gonna be late. Not that you guys are ever late. Like, you guys are really good with time. Yeah. That's ever late. But my family is bad with time. So that's what I expect from everyone. So, and then they were out there, they were like celebrating. They're like, oh, Nib, she did it. And you still sent me like a very long voice note that I cried a little bit, it's fine. And I don't know, that one of those moments, because it's a very big deal to me.
Yeah.
To be doing it again. So the fact that you guys celebrated it was like, that, like, I wouldn't say like being celebrated is why I'm proud of my community. I'm proud of my community because everything matters to you guys. Yeah. If it matters to me, it matters to you guys. If it matters to me, if it's important to you, it's important to me. Like, if something is stressing you out, not gonna stress me out, but it's gonna be on my mind too. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh. So I just wanna talk about like moments as individuals now, like that I've shared with each of you guys individually.
You can do that.
Gosh, tell us.
And even if there's like a really significant moment that just stood out for you, like doesn't even have to be with us. I think like it's so awesome that we have this little community, but I'm also glad that this is not our only community.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
But share about that.
So, I'm gonna start with you, bro. So a moment that stood out for me, or like was a defining moment in our relationship thus far, was, you know, the day that we were in church and you prayed prayed for me or prayed over me,
Yeah.
know. And this was this like, if you understand, if you knew Keegan before like April last year or something, you know, it would be like such a shocker to see where he's at right now.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like I still had that, you know, that image of you where it was like it was always how it was.
Yeah.
I just rather say that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then in the church where it's like you were there, he was there, I was there. I think Nebraska was also there, and Brandon. You know, it was the first time like us now as the boys being in church together, and it was like I think you guys were in worship, and then you just came to me, and then you like just asked me if you could pray over me. I feel like that was the moment where I was like, yo, Keegan, no.
W Key?
You know, like Keegan just, you know, Loki just changed my life, you know? Because I feel like if that had never happened, I don't think the image that we shared, or the relationship that we shared before we decided to, you know, embark on this journey that we're on right now, it would have stuck with me for the longest time.
Yeah.
You know? And then with Caleb, I think I made Caleb in a time where I was just in my head a lot. You know, obviously through Brandon and in his absence. Thank you so much.
Shout out Brandon.
You know, just, you know, connecting me with such an amazing human being. You know, Caleb, I feel like I get Caleb on a different level. You know, it's like we both people that don't really talk much, but we can always connect on certain things that I don't really connect with other people with, you know. And with him, the first time, one of the few times we hung out was we were doing a shoot for Change by Christ.
Yeah.
You know, and he gave me the honor to actually shoot some of the shots, you know, that came out in that campaign for Change by Christ. And that's something that I'm forever grateful for, because obviously we've never worked together creatively before that. And it was like such a pivotal moment to where we are, to leading to where we are right now. And with Nips.
Oh my gosh.
Nebraska.
Please don't say my full name.
You know, Nebs, our relationship, the way it just came about was in the most organic way, if I can say so. Because we were in the same space for a few times before, but we've never spoken to each other, you know? And I think the first time I actually hung out with Nebs was on his birthday. You know, it was just a spontaneous thing of like, yo, it's just God, bro. Nebs, we're coming to fetch you, you know?
Literally.
You know, just be on standby.
Gosh.
We left Leah at the mall
at 9 o'clock.
to go fetch Nips.
Yes.
Not just Leah alone, but we left them, and then we were squashed in a car. Six of us in a car.
So like that night where we just decided to go play darts, you know, at like 10. Yes, and you won, Nibs. And you know, we decided to play darts, and I got to see her in a different light, because I obviously met her in church.
Yeah.
You know, outside of church, it was like a different experience, because it was like she was this serious, because like we were having a fun moment of playing darts, being, you know, all funny and goofy, and it was like a moment where I was like, okay, she's such a cool person. You know, that's something that I can say. But then as a community, a moment where I knew that, okay, you know, this is actually so serious, was when we all decided to show up for one of our friends when he decided to host a run. For one of the first times. You know, we just all came together regardless of what we had planned, and it was like, okay, we're gonna be here. No matter what. And we were there, we showed up.
Sorry guys for the technical difficulty. We are back. I just, in those moments, you know, I was just thinking about how proud of you guys I am. Like, I'm just proud of the community that I'm in. And I think I also want to give the small moments, and then I'll just highlight one specific moment in my own life that I was just proud of the community I was in. With Caleb, like, one moment where I was proud of him was just like the sacrifice, like, he always portrays, and it's almost like a sacrificial generosity. Like, when I was at his house for the first time, and he already asked, like, do I want food?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Heck yeah.
yeah. But also just like seeing him, you know, when he came back from Zimbabwe,
Don't get me
guys,
started.
he went for undisclosed reasons, and it took longer than expected, but he came back. But just like seeing him at the airport, because I had the honor of fetching him. I was just proud because he was still alive. I'm kidding, but you know, he just looked like, you know, he completed a step in his life.
Yeah.
Because I think obviously without that you wouldn't be able to be doing what you're doing now. And I think even though it was probably hard and tough, I was just like proud because it wasn't hard work, it wasn't, you know, endless efforts. It was literally and mostly time waiting, you know. Obviously not time just spent sitting somewhere waiting, but time waiting, you know, wanting to be here, not missing key crucial moments, you know. I was just proud to see him come back and ready to just take on, you know, what was next. And for Nebs, actually a proud moment that it's unusual, but so Caleb, Nebs, and I Caleb and I still are, but we were all youth leaders, and Nebs was an awesome youth leader and an awesome leader in our youth ministry, but I was proud of you for just acknowledging a next step in your life, because youth's been a part of your life since way back, you know, and I was just proud. It wasn't, you know, always nice, but I was proud because I'm like, this is new. What's happening next? What are you doing next? You know?
Yeah.
And I was just proud of you for making being accountable with yourself in that regard, and just being able to not easily accept it, but celebrate it. You know, with Leah and I met at varsity. Funny enough, funny story. I didn't know Leah knew Caleb.
Yeah.
But I met Leah at varsity. We met through one of my other good friends, Oratile. But when I was with Leah, like, I think we've both gone through a significant amount of growth, you know. And I think it's cool that we've been able to see it. But just like one really cool moment that stood out that I was just proud was one night, I think I mentioned it in the last podcast also, that the worship nights, whatever we want to call it, Leah, Caleb, Brandon, myself, just worshiping purely unorganized, purely because somebody put it on the TV, getting fines from HOA, but like, obviously I knew Leah was a believer in Christ, but I had never seen him, you know, in that sort of setting. And I think that's when I saw just a spark of change. And I was just proud because I could see that it was not only the beginning of something, but it was the beginning of something that you really wanted. You know. And I was just proud to know that, like, the community that we're in, we are not scared to be real with each other. Also,
Definitely.
I'm proud of that, because being real is something that you don't find a lot nowadays, because the easy option is just to be accepting, move on to the next thing. Oh, I understand you. In your heart you don't feel right, but I understand you. You'll get through this. And then one moment where I was really proud of community for myself, I think it was a nervous moment when I played football. I stepped into a more professional setting last year at university. I was playing football for the university. And I was very scared, not because of my race, but I was the only white guy there.
Yeah.
That's not why I was scared, but I just knew that there was an already formed community there, and I was new, because they were all third year, fourth year, and I was very fortunate to step into this first year. But I was so proud to be in that community, because after my first training session, they took a moment to pray, and not just for just praying towards our Lord Jesus Christ, but also there's fellow people that believe in other religions, and they took a moment for them to pray also. So just that moment of respect, and I felt proud, because I knew I was around a group of people that not only were willing to fight for each other, but also who respected each other, who not who were not separated by beliefs or circumstances, but rather were united in respect and a brotherhood. And I was just so proud and amazed by that I realized that, yes, community, people are going to be different. People may not believe the same things as you, and that might be hard at times. Sometimes you want to say things, but you're like, oh, actually, I can't say that. But that doesn't define the strength of a community, because community doesn't mean living a life alongside somebody. It means living a life in the same spaces as somebody. And I think I just want to close off with this question, because it's always cool to speak about what's happened, what we believe now, but also really cool to see what it looks like in our minds for the future. But what kind of family, or less so family, but maybe more so, what kind of community do you want to be a part of building in the future? Could be in the next few years, could be when you're 30s. Any dreams or goals, that you want to be part of building this type of community? I think I'll kick us off with this. But one thing that I've seen, especially with my parents, is just the amazing community that they've just really put so much effort into building, and especially with their friends. We moved here to the Cape, and it was a fresh start for them. They didn't have any friends. They didn't know people here, But seeing that the people that they met, then in that first 1 or 2 years of just being that they've carried, and not moved from this to this to this, but carried those people through years. I've seen him carry people through challenges, and I've seen him just, it's really inspirational to me. But I've really just seen my parents hold a community together, a community of friends that are living towards same goals, same life things. They on same spans of life. For instance, their friends all have children that are similar ages to each other. Not me. I'm the odd thing out. But
Odd person out.
yeah, the odd person out. They're all young kids, but it's awesome to see that it's that they've held this community together, and also joined and grasp the community for what it is. And I think that's something that I'd want to build in the future, especially having a wife and a family, is building and having a community that's not only shares moments together, but is so tied together that even through years and challenges and debates and falling out, that there's such a strong bond and such a strong glue that the community will always find a way to come back stronger, come back lighter, come back refreshed. And I think that's really something that I want to aspire towards building, is building a community that not only stands out, but also inspires. And in that aspect, a family-based, community. But I just love the fact that it's not, not still in a moment in time, but rather, formed by growth, which I think is really awesome. Yeah.
I think beyond us as individuals, or beyond us as a friend group, I think one thing that I do want to see happen in the near future for us and for the people we love is for our parents not to be friends, but to actually know each other
Yeah.
and spend time with each other. Because I can spend time with you, and I can know a lot about you.
Yeah.
And I can also know a lot about your parents from
Yeah.
you, but they wouldn't know each other if they don't spend any time together. So I think that's one thing that I want to see in the near future. Them also building some sort of relationship. Once again, they don't have to be best friends as we are best friends.
Yeah.
But time together and knowing each other, knowing about each other.
Conversations.
Yeah, conversations. Yeah. That would be lovely.
Yeah. Just something small on that. I think it's cool because obviously each of our parents know so much about us and have so many stories about us that sometimes we'll probably forget, or things that we don't even know because we wouldn't have remembered it.
Yep.
But it's like when you're in a family setting and your family's telling stories about you, and you're like, but I think it would be so awesome. Yes, it might not be awkward, it might be cringe, it might be unfunny, or it might be serious, but to hear our parents conversing not only with each other but about us, that's also something that's
I know our parents.
I hope for that too.
I know our parents talk about us.
Yeah, definitely.
All the time. I think for me, a community I'd like to see in the near future, I think maybe my near future, can't speak about yours, but I would love to see as we grow up and as we all get married and have partners and have kids, to still have this community. But I don't want this to be us, our only community, if that makes sense. I'd love for all of us to branch out and find other community within our creative spaces, etc., etc. But I'd love for this community to grow with our partners and our kids and our kids' friends. I'd love to see that. I've always wanted, I always say, I want to live in a residential area. That is the vibe. Not the vibe, that's such a bad word. That is the essence, essentially, of what I want in the community.
House next to each other.
Maybe not houses next to each other, but maybe we can all live in the same state.
We could build houses on top of each other. Skyscraper.
Okay, so with me, I feel like something that I've been wanting to build, I think I've spoken about this. I'm really passionate about helping people.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't need to document for people to see. It's all about, and it's an internal thing that I always try to, pursue. I think I spoke up on it, in terms of also acknowledging people, man, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, however they're living their lives. So for me, one of my big goals in this life is to have a foundation, where I can, disciple kids to be closer to God, where I can put them through the education system, pay for their tuition, put them in spaces where they can feel like they belong, and they can grow in terms of their careers, especially young adults, teenagers, and obviously I want to be part of the the formative years of young children as well, that don't get to have the opportunity to have parents that are as present in their lives. So that's something that my sisters and I were always passionate about, and
Yeah.
obviously rooted in the church community, and then obviously for myself and obviously my community, I feel like we hold so much power in what we do and the things that we are passionate about, and we all have things that we want to pursue
Yeah.
differently from what we have all in common here. And I don't know, man. It's just something that I'm really looking forward to
Yeah.
see us all just relentlessly hunt our dreams and just chase them
Yeah.
down and just obviously achieve everything that we speak about. Not maybe in the time frame that we put it in, but eventually,
Yeah.
where we all feel fulfilled and satisfied with the way we are in life,
Yeah.
and just keep this friend group till we're like 100 years old.
Yeah.
100.
I liked what you said there, and I think that's really inspiring. Is you spoke about what you want to build in community, but you didn't speak about what you're building for yourself. You spoke about building community for others, and I think that's a really inspiring thing. Is building a community where you might not be a part of, but it may give space for other people to flourish. And I think, even little groups like what we are our own little community. And I think from a few people that have engaged in our community and been a part of it and spoken on it, especially when we're together, I have also spoken about like how they want a community like that. Like Nev said, it's not perfect, but nothing is perfect. And I think being able to inspire in simple ways, might be this podcast, might be whatever we're posting on Instagram. I think allowing somebody and giving them just an idea that, hey, I can have my own community. I can build my own family. I can stretch out and have my own thing. It's really so beautiful and inspiring. And I think all that we've spoken about today, families, community, it's really just beautiful to see from our perspectives, of course, what that feels like, what that seems like in each of our own brains, what a family looks like, what a community extends out to. And I hope that what we see as a family, what we see as a community, is always growing, and it's never stagnant, because you always want your community to grow, but not necessarily grow in size, but grow in strength, grow in love, grow in partnership. And I think as members of Back in the Corner, we just wanted to speak about families and community, just so that you understood who we are, what we bring, where we come from, and what our views and passions and purposes are, especially in a community-based and family-based things such as this. So that's a wrap for our second episode. I really hope that there's some insight, there's some love, there's some tough thoughts that are taken from this. But we will definitely be back for another one. I won't say who, but I won't be hosting on the next one. But it's definitely going to be good. So from all of us at Back in the Corner, we'll see you on the next one.